Okay, the fire department is on their way here, okay? We'll be here in just...
If you've been hit by a car, truck, or other vehicle while walking or standing, I'm going to show you how your claim works from start to finish. This way, you have the best shot at getting a sizable payout. To keep it interesting, we'll use the real case of Jill, who was standing in a marina. She was waiting for a pickup truck to pull forward. What Jill didn't realize was that the truck was towing a boat trailer that was much wider than the pickup truck. Then, out of nowhere, the boat trailer rolled into her and stabbed her in the back.
And so the trailer hit me from behind. I didn't even know it was coming. I didn't have a chance.
She fell to the ground bleeding.
Okay. We'll be here in just a minute.
Paramedics and police came to the scene and checked on Jill. They also took statements of the driver and all the witnesses. We'll get back to Jill's injuries in just a moment. Jill reached out to me from the hospital. Like most people who've been hit by a car or truck, she didn't know where to begin. Progressive, the insurance company for the truck that hit Jill, called her. They don't always contact you. They called Jill because their insured driver reported the accident to them. Jill could have also reported the accident to the other driver's insurance company. In many instances, when a car or truck hits you while you're a pedestrian, you'll need to report the accident to the driver's insurance company. When I use the word pedestrian, it just means that you were standing or walking when you were hit. Oftentimes, the driver who hit you won't report the accident to their auto insurance company. This is because there often isn't any damage to their car or truck, or it's minor. So the other driver may not believe they need to report the accident to their insurance company. They hope that you won't make a claim and they don't want their insurance rates to rise. Here's the problem. You have no shot at getting paid if a claim isn't set up. Once a claim is set up, it gets a unique claim number. You or your lawyer will use this claim number in every communication with the other driver's insurance company. If you're hit by a car or truck and you're thinking about hiring a lawyer, click the link in the description below to see if I could be the attorney for you. To create a claim number, the insurance company for the driver who hit you needs a few things. First, they'll need the date when the car or truck hit you. They want the date of the accident for many reasons. One of which is that they want to verify that their insurance policy covers the date when you were hit. The other driver's insurance company will also want their insurance policy number. This is so they can see if the vehicle that the driver was operating is insured on their policy. The other driver's insurance company will also want the description of how the accident happened. You usually don't have to give them a description, and don't give them a recorded statement because they'll use it against you. So it's a good start to get a claim number, but it does not automatically mean that you're going to get paid. In order to get paid, several things need to happen. First, the at-fault driver's insurance company needs to confirm that there is insurance coverage for your accident. I'll quickly explain. At the time of the accident, the driver of the car or truck usually gives their insurance card to the police officer. But just because they have an insurance card that hasn't yet expired, it doesn't mean that there is coverage. For example, their auto insurance company may have been canceled after they got the insurance card. I've seen this happen in many cases. In order for there to be insurance coverage, the driver's insurance policy needs to be active on the day that they hit you. In other words, the owner of the car must have paid their insurance bill. Also, there can't be an exclusion in the policy that would cause a denial of coverage. The most common denial is that the vehicle is not listed on the insurance policy. If you had property damaged when you were hit by the vehicle, the insurance company will assign a representative to handle your property damage. If you're injured, they'll assign a separate adjuster to handle your personal injury claim. This adjuster is called the Bodily Injury Liability Adjuster, or BI adjuster. They pay you for your pain, suffering, medical bills, and for the money you missed from not being able to work. Even if they say there's insurance coverage, which is great, it's still just one hurdle cleared. We'll get back to this in a bit. Most people don't realize that if you're a pedestrian and you're hit by a car or truck, your own auto insurance may pay your medical bills, up to a certain amount, of course. This is true even if the accident wasn't in a no-fault state. This is why one of the first things that you should do if you're hit while you're a pedestrian is to look at your own insurance coverage. Again, even if you weren't in a car or truck when the crash happened. Jill was on vacation in Florida from another state when she was hit, so I asked her to look at her car insurance coverage. Specifically, there's two types of coverage on your policy that you should be looking for. The first is medical payments coverage. This is optional coverage, so you may or may not have it. If you're hit in a no-fault state like Florida, your personal injury protection on your auto policy pays for your medical bills. It's called PIP and it pays 80% of your medical bills up to $10,000. This coverage pays your medical bills regardless of whether or not you're at fault for getting hit. Jill had $10,000 in medical payments coverage. One of the first steps to take is to give the hospital and all your medical providers your auto insurance claim number, which means that you or your lawyer needs to set up a claim with your own auto insurance company. Again, you should do this even though you're a pedestrian who was hit by a car or truck. Some people are afraid about their insurance rates going up if you make a claim with your insurance, but there's a much bigger problem than that. Your health insurance often won't pay your hospital bills or doctor's bills unless your auto insurance is billed first. But here's where most people make a huge mistake and it can cost you tens of thousands of dollars. They don't check for this one coverage that can completely change your case. In fact, in one case, I got my client, a pedestrian, an extra $100,000. It's called uninsured motorist insurance coverage, or coverage. This coverage can pay for your pain, suffering, lost wages, and medical bills, but only if the other driver is at fault for hitting you. If it was your fault or even partly your fault in some states, might not pay you anything. There's two reasons why you should immediately look at your auto insurance coverage if a car or truck hits you while you're a pedestrian. The first reason is because there's a good chance that the vehicle that hit you has no coverage or not enough. For example, Jill had a nasty wound on her back and had to spend several days in the hospital. During that time, she had 2 surgeries. So I estimated the value of her pain and suffering alone to be around $250,000 or so. Unfortunately, most drivers don't carry $250,000 or more in coverage. Many drivers are uninsured and many only have $10,000 or $20,000 or a bit more. The problem is that it can take time to find out their insurance limit. On the other hand, you can quickly see how much coverage you have. So I told Jill to see how much uninsured motorist coverage she had. She had $100,000 per person and $300,000 per accident. This means that the most her auto insurance company would owe her was $100,000. This was for sure better than nothing, but it's a lot less than her case was worth. If you were hit in Florida and want to see if I could be the lawyer for you, click the link in the description below. The next step to take is to notify your health insurance company about the accident. You need to do this because you're usually required to pay them back from any settlement. If you have a lawyer, the health insurance company may need to reduce this payback amount by your pro rata lawyer's fees and costs. You may have other arguments to make to get them to accept a tiny fraction of what they say you owe them. Here, Jill's health plan paid over $44,300 of her medical bills. They demanded to get paid from any settlement that Jill had. I got them to accept a payback amount of less than $575. Never, ever trust what the health insurance company says when they demand getting repaid. They won't help you lower this repayment amount. If you had any property damaged in the accident, tell the other driver's insurance company. I've had cases where the impact caused my client's watch or even cell phone to break. In Jill's case, Progressive assigned Jason to handle her bodily injury claim. Jason told us that their insured driver had $100,000 in BI insurance. However, he said he still hadn't cleared coverage. This $100,000 amount is a good amount of money for most cases, but it's not enough when you have a several-day hospital stay that includes 2 surgeries. Even once they say there's coverage, which is great, it's still just one hurdle cleared. This is because the adjuster still needs to determine 2 things. Number 1, fault, which is also called liability, and number 2, your damages and injuries. To determine fault, the insurance adjuster will look at the traffic crash report. They will also try to speak with several people about how the accident happened. They'll want to speak with the driver, the pedestrian, which is you, and any witnesses. They'll want to take your recorded statement. However, since you don't have a contract with them, you're usually not required to give them one. One trick that auto insurance adjusters often use is that they tell you that they need to take your recorded statement to move your claim forward. That's 100% wrong. I've settled many pedestrian accident cases for $100,000 or more, even when the at-fault driver's insurance adjuster never took my client's statement, even though they told me that they needed it. The insurance adjuster will then assign a certain percentage of fault to the driver and the pedestrian. They may assign anywhere from 0 to 100% fault on the driver that hit you. In most states, if you're 51% or more at fault for getting hit, the driver doesn't owe you a cent. But don't automatically assume that you're at fault, even if the police officer gives you a ticket. In Florida, if you're a pedestrian who is over 50% at fault for causing the accident, the other driver doesn't owe you money for pain and suffering and some other damages. Next, the insurance company will want to get your medical bills and records. They'll ask you to sign a medical authorization so that they can get your records and bills. You generally are not required to sign this medical authorization. The insurance company will then set a reserve to pay your personal injury claim. The reserve is the most probable amount of money that they'll owe given the information that they have. By law, they are required to set aside money in an account to pay your claim. The amount could be anywhere from $0 to a huge number if your injuries are large. As the insurance adjuster gets more information, they can either increase or lower the reserve. Your goal is to get them to increase the settlement reserve as fast as possible. To do this, either you or your lawyer will get your medical records and bills for treatment related to the accident. Send those bills and records to the insurance adjuster fast. You'll also want to send the insurance company receipts for any of your property that was damaged when the car or truck hit you. Take photos of your damaged property and send that to the adjuster also. Also take photos of any bruising or cuts or scars that you have. There are several other simple steps to get them to increase the reserve. It takes time for insurance companies to increase their settlement reserve. It's not something that happens immediately. Yet I see so many pedestrians who are hit just sit back and not get their medical records and bills to the adjuster. They wrongly assume that if the insurance company hasn't asked for a specific record or bill, then it must not be needed. Here's the problem. The claims adjuster doesn't care about your case nearly as much as you or your lawyer does, and it's not their fault. Your case is likely just one of the 75 or more cases that they have at any given time. Not getting the insurance company your medical records and bills fast will delay your settlement. Even though car insurance companies have tons of cash, they didn't get this way by giving adjusters total control. This means that the adjuster still likely needs authorization from the claims supervisor to pay you. For example, in a case where a car hit a pedestrian and broke his leg, the BI adjuster needed approval from their claims supervisor to pay us the $100,000 policy limit. And if you have a huge injury, your claim may need to move more than one level up for approval. It could travel all the way up to the vice president of claims. Here's a pro tip. Don't just wait and give all your medical records and bills to the insurance adjuster at once. That's a bad strategy. The insurance adjuster will have a settlement range they can settle your case within. Their range is often much lower than the claim's fair value. Insurance companies like to hold on to their money, especially Progressive, State Farm, Allstate, and many others. They make you fight to get it. Unfortunately, the adjuster won't tell you what their settlement range is. If they do, they are lying like Pinocchio. Your goal is to settle your case for fair value, but I found that most pedestrians hit by a car settle for way below the upper limit of the insurance company's settlement range. If you don't have a lawyer, your threat of suing is much weaker, and the insurance companies know this. In Jill's case, I got Progressive, the truck's insurance, to pay us the $100,000 policy limits, but I didn't stop there. In Jill's case, the pickup truck that hit her was towing a boat trailer, but the trailer didn't belong to the driver. The trailer had its own separate insurance policy. I made a claim with this policy. Unfortunately, the policy didn't cover accidents while the trailer was being towed. We also made a claim under Jill's underinsured motorist UIM coverage. If her UIM coverage had been on a Florida auto policy, it could have been added on top of the truck driver's $100,000 in coverage. But Jill lived in Indiana, and under her policy, UIM only applies if the at-fault driver has less coverage than her limits. Since the pickup truck had $100,000 in BI coverage and Jill's UIM was also $100,000, her insurance didn't apply. Jill's own medical payments with her auto insurer paid $10,000 of her medical bills. They demanded that we pay them from any settlement. I fought hard and got them to drop their claim. Jill didn't want to sue the driver who hit her, so we settled for Progressive's $100,000. Jill got over $61,200 in her pocket after my lawyer's fees, costs, and paying back her health insurance company and medical bills. But too many pedestrians settle for way too little, and that's usually because they don't know how to build up their case against the driver who hit them. I show you how to do just that by looking at a pedestrian accident in the video that's on screen and in the description below, so watch it now. And if you were hit and injured while you were a pedestrian, click the link below to find out for free if I could be the lawyer for you.